But anyways, here we go. We have these two nice looking bar graphs, and you also saw how easy it is to change different parameters to your liking, such as color, font size, etc. Alright, so today I want to go over making publication quality bar plots with error bars and overlaid data points, but I plan to cover the common chart types in future videos. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is import Matplotlib and seaborn. Then we need to make some values. For this first example, I'm just going to make a list of values and labels. I'll just make two lists of random numbers. So now if you look at values, it's just a list of 10 numbers. And if you look at groups, it's just a list of 10 labels. Alright, so we're going to start by making the base chart objects. So we'll just do SNS barplot, and we're just going to set x equal to the groups, or the labels, and y equal to the vals. And we'll set this as x. And then we'll make another axis object, and it'll be sns.swarmplot. And again, we'll just do x equals groups, y is equal to vals. Alright, so now we have the base objects. So we have two bar plots and the data points here. So let's start making it look better. First, we're going to change the size. Alright, so the size looks a lot better. So let's add some lines to these bars. Also, I want to add caps to the error bars too, because I think that looks better. We'll do cap size, let's try 0.5. Yeah, that looks okay for now. And edge color, actually 0.2 as a color is actually a nice dark, almost black gray. Alright, so now you see we have these edges on the bars, but we want to make them a little thicker and we want to make all the lines the same width. So let's change the line width. Let's just do 2.5 because I like thick lines. And then we also want to change the error width to 2.5 as well, just so they're even. Alright, so this already looks a lot better just with these few changes. Alright, so let's change these swarm plot points now. We're going to change them to squares, just because I think that looks nice. And S is for square. And we're going to make them a little bigger. Let's try 10. Let's see how that looks. Okay. That looks like a decent size. Let's go with that for now. But they don't have any border lines. So this is a nice little trick. We can't change that directly in the swarm plot function, but we can add keyword arguments. So KW args, and we're going to make a little dictionary. Here we're going to make them hollow. So we're going to set the face color to none. Oops, I just forgot one star here. Great, so I think this aesthetic looks really nice, but I'm not really the biggest fan of these colors. It's really helpful to specify your palette. I like this color. It says it's brown, but it doesn't really look brown. Let's go with brown and misty rose. Let's try those. So we're going to set palette equals, and you just pass a list of colors. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better, in my opinion. But of course, I'm actually not that artistic, so maybe my choice in colors is completely off. And then let me just show you one of my trade secrets here. You can actually use the dropper tool in Firefox. I don't know if it's in other browsers as well, but Firefox has this more tools eyedropper, and you can actually go to any color in your browser. Let's just pick this one for example. You just click it, it copies it to your clipboard, and then you can just paste it in here for your palette. And now we have that color. So if you don't see something in the Matplotlib list of name colors, you can do that. But I'll just go back to what I had. Okay, so we have the base figure pretty much how we want it, but we want to make the axes look better. So we're just going to make a little loop We only care about these two because I'm going to get rid of these top and right ones anyways. And then we call that axes object dot spines, and then we pass axis, and then we can set line width at 2.5 just to keep it consistent. And then we'll also set the color here as well. Alright, so now these axes look better, and then let's just get rid of the right and the top one. So one important point is that what we see in Jupyter Notebook isn't always the same as what we see when we actually save the figures. So I'm going to start saving them so we can check the actual figure. We always want to call bbox inches, and we want to call it tight, or you have a chance of the labels getting clipped. And DPI for quality, let's just set it to 250, that's pretty high. Alright, and we can see that I forgot to change the color of the error bar. So that's an error color, and again just 0.2. Now let's fix some of these labels on the X and Y axis. So we're going to call plot.xticks, and we're going to make them a little bigger so they might overlap. We're going to set a rotation. So rotation, and in degrees, let's just try 35. And we see this actually rotates it, but now they're not aligned. So we need to set a rotation mode, and we're going to anchor it. And then we need to align that anchor to the right. So horizontal alignment, we'll set that as right. And now we see they're nice and aligned. So let's check the actual figure. Let's make it bold. So if we say weight bold, now if we look at it, the width is pretty similar, but you can see that this black is a more crisp black. So let's change it again to the 0.02. In this case, it's just color equals 0.2. Okay, but obviously these Y ticks do not match. So let's do plot Y ticks. We'll make them size equals 14, and then we'll just copy these. And if we look, everything looks to be about the same width. The only thing really now is these little tick marks are smaller than the other lines, so let's just make those bigger. And for that, it's just an axis tick params 0.2 like everything else. Alright, now we have these nice thick tick marks. So we're basically done, but I will show you how to put a p-value indicator on here. So firstly, let's check to make sure these are actually significant. I have a video that goes in more depth of testing for statistical significance. Just barely significant. So let's say we want to add a star to show significance here. So how this regular bar graph works is this x position is actually 0 and this x position should be 1. So we can just plot a line that starts here and goes over to here, and I'll add a little bit of a tick mark to it too. So I'll actually start around here, go up and then over and then down. So we'll just call the plot function, and then we're going to specify 4 x values, but let's get the max value from this first instead of just randomly specifying a point. So max value, let's just do max of vals. The x is going to be 0, 0, and then 1, 1. And then the y is just going to be, let's do 4 max vals, and then we want it to be a little higher than this top point. See, the start wasn't quite high enough. So we can change the line width to 2.5, the color to 0.2. I'm going to move it up just a little bit more. Yeah, that looks better, I think. Alright, so this is what we have, and then finally, let's just add the star saying that they are indeed significant. And for that, we'll do a plot.text. This is a very useful function call if you want to ever label your chart anywhere. In this case, our x is going to be between 0 and 1, right in the middle, so 0.5, and then our y is just going to be a little above this bar here. One last thing I want to change is I don't like how this y-axis goes all the way up to 100 just because now we have this plot line that's up here. So let's actually crop this without making this stuff disappear. So let me show you. So we need to set a y limit. So if we do plot.ylem and we set the top equal, well, let's get the limit before we make this plot. So we're going to get the previous limit. So previous limit, instead of just arbitrarily picking a number, and we'll do an x, get y limit, and then this is going to return a tuple of the bottom and the top should be second. So we're going to get the second item, and then we need to set the new y limit to the previous limit. But look, now when we do this, it doesn't crop the text, but it crops that plot bar. So what we need to do is tell it not to crop that. Clip on, and we'll set that to false. So now when we run it, we see that this isn't clipped. So I think we have a pretty good looking bar graph here. I'm going to make a slightly more complex grouped bar graph real quick just to show, but since most of it's going to be the same, I'm just going to speed it up. It will be worth looking at the legend because I will edit the legend in that one. One more thing I wanted to point out is for actual publications, you want to save Fig as a SVG, and all you have to do is specify in the file name itself, SVG. This is just from experience. Instead of messing with subplots and stuff, just save them as SVGs and open them up in Illustrator. There's also free softwares you can use to edit SVGs. This is by far the best way. Okay, so for this I just made 10 values in group A and group B, called them gene A and control, and then I have 2 different treatment groups as well. I'm just going to reuse a lot of this. This is one of the most important distinctions, is we need to add a hue, and that's going to be treatment. And we also need to, since it's a data frame now, data is going to equal to df, and then x is going to now be this column name. So gene, y is going to be value. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so we still need to fix the swarm plot, and we need to get rid of some of this. We have twice as many caps, so let's just see what making it half the size. That looks better. For the swarm plot, we also need to add a hue now. Oh, we need to specify data equals df, just like this. Alright. And then we need to add dodge, so these actually split up into the 2 different groups. Set dodge equals to true. Okay, so we see we have the markers in the right spot now. The big problem here is this legend. we don't want these, this blue and orange circle, and we want these to be somewhere else. Let's move them below the actual chart. We see that we got rid of those two circles. I'll also get rid of the frame and then make it so they're side by side instead of on top of each other. We have this nice legend down here now. We just have to fix some of these labels. There we go, that's gone. I could even move this up a little bit, and then I need to change the Y label to make it the same font. And then obviously these need to change so that they look like this font here. Alright, so I think that looks really good. We can make this font a little bigger. I'm not going to bother for now. But anyways, here we go. We have these two nice looking bar graphs, which I think are worthy to belong in any publication. And you also saw how easy it is to change different parameters to your liking, such as color, font size, etc.